welcome back. Now look what we got here. I bought this little tractor about 4 or 5 years ago. It's a rare breed of tractors. As you can see, it's got equal size wheels on all four. It's got chains on all four. So the reason for that is because it's 4-wheel drive. So it's hydrostatic, 4-wheel drive, and 4-wheel steering. As you can see, the back wheels, just turning the wheel a little bit, go both ways. So the name of this tractor is a Giere. Giere, I believe, operated for only a few years. I'm not sure how many. I believe there was even a Mountaineer 2, but this one was the Mountaineer 1, and I think this engine has been changed in here. It currently has a 16 horsepower V-twin in there, but I believe it was a bigger engine before. So when I got it, it was in really bad shape. It still is. But the hydrostatic transmission was leaking hydraulics, and therefore it wouldn't barely move, you know. So, and it would just leak out into underneath the back area here. And if you look in there, you kind of see that hydrostatic pump, I guess. Gets driven by the engine through a belt, and it was actually just the shaft seal that was leaking. So I was able to look at the brand of that brand and model number of that pump, and order up some seals, and that fixed that problem. So aside from that, pretty much everything is like worn out on this tractor, and I use it to blow snow. As you can see, it's got a snow blower on the front. Out here in Montreal, Canada, we get snow, and so it only really gets used for that. So you know, I only use it during the snowstorms, and it's been doing a fantastic job, regardless of the fact that everything is worn out. Like this wheel here is what this purpose of this video is about. Is going to try to fix something finally. This wheel ball joint at the bottom, and we'll show some pictures of this later on, but I don't know if you can see, it's completely worn out. There used to be a bearing there. The bearing fell out, and it's just now holding with a bolt in the washer. And believe it or not, it's been like that for like 3 years. So it's time. It used to be a bearing, but I think I'm just gonna machine a piece of brass and remake that into a bushing rather than a bearing. I think having that be a bearing probably wasn't the greatest idea to begin with anyway, but if I could make it so you can grease it, that would be even better. So that is the purpose of this video, just to give you a little overview of these tractors. You can still find some of them for sale sometimes. They're fairly rare though, and they're great, really great for doing snow. If you don't have space for a big tractor, I mean, you just have a garden shed and you want something small that you can fit in your garden shed. This you know, does a fantastic job with the Burco snowblower. It's, you know, hydraulically lifted. It currently has a hand crank for the snow chute, but I was thinking maybe make that electric one day. So stay tuned. I'll show you how this front end is made, and we're gonna fix it. And parts are pretty much unavailable for most of the things on this tractor, so you basically just have to make it as you go. Just like that deck over here, I made that with barbecue doors. That was like right when I got it. It's still holding up pretty good. I mean, it's not the thickest metal, but it did serve this purpose. It was just stainless steel barbecue doors. I just bent them up and made a nice little platform for it. The previous one was completely rotted out. So stay tuned. I'll show you once I get this wheel off what this all looks like. All right, so we're here with the wheel off now. As you can see, this thing's in rough shape. It's been through the ringer. So the way this actually allows this to pivot is actually using these flexible kind of like discs. As you can see, by having two flexible discs, it allows this whole assembly to kind of like bend and turn. It's really quite something, this design. That's probably the part that's been patented by Giere, because I have never seen that on anything else, but maybe I'm wrong, you know. And so what's going, like, as you can see, like, this thing is just worn out, and at the bottom it's completely, the bearing's completely gone, so that's obvious. So what I'm gonna have to do is take these bolts out, somehow remove this assembly, and I'm gonna try to machine a bushing, perhaps make a new, attaching a shaft here, something clean, not all rusty on both, and hopefully that'll tighten that up quite a bit. And then there's a lot of other areas we could fix, play, but I'm gonna start with that and see how it goes. So we'll take this all apart and catch you back. We are with the spindle out. You see what they did, they put these ball bearings on these really on these joints that really have a lot of strain on them. Typically this kind of swivel would be, on little tractors like this, would be something more like a bearing, maybe like a needle bearing, but I guess they did, seems like they tried to put two bearings, or one anyway. This is what's left of this one. This is the lower one. As you can see, it is long gone. So in order to fix that, I think I'll try to press out this crappy leftover bearing here, measure this hole, maybe put something that something like a bushing with a shoulder on it, so when I push it in, it can't go out anywhere. And on top, maybe just make myself a nice straight shaft, something maybe bigger than this, and then follow it up by pressing in a similar bushing on the other piece with a shoulder on it, and somehow maybe piercing a hole through the thing and installing a grease nipple so I can grease the joints. And see how it goes, and then maybe do it on the other side in the future, but the other side is still holding together for now, so we won't go there right away. But let's try that and see what happens. All right, this thing's fighting me to get it all apart, especially this guy. All this had holding that on was a bolt, but it was seized on the shaft, so I ended up using this ball joint puller. And I only thought about it like after messing with it for like an hour with various other types of pullers. Well, that grabbed onto it nicely, and it's a pretty solid tool, so it popped it out. Well, it popped it out. It took a lot, and it snapped away. But now I got everything out. Maybe take the opportunity to sandblast this a little bit, maybe thicken it up in the areas where it's really rusted, and paint it. And this piece is probably something that they got, you know, like from another supplier, probably not factory designed, because it looks different. You know, it's like a nice quality metal. It's in good shape, and it's nice and thick compared to the stuff that was made by Giere. seems to be corroding away quite, you know, a lot more. You know, this thing's old, but you know, anyway, so that's where I'm at now. I can maybe get this into the sandblast, clean it properly, get that in as well, and be able to remove that bolt that's seized on there right now, and do a better cleanup job, and that way I'll be able to do a better job. So we'll sandblast a little bit and let you know what it looks like after. All right, just a quick note, this is the tool that I use to push the bearing out. You can see there it just came out. It's kind of the same idea. That bearing had a step sitting in there like that, so push it out with a 15/16 socket and this ball joint removal tool. All right, here we are back on my old Logan lathe, and I've machined this piece out of some scrap steel that I had. And the idea that I have is this will replace the bearing. This hole is 3/4 of an inch big, so 750 thou, pretty much precisely. And now what I have here chucked in is a piece of brass sleeve that I machined both ends just to flatten them out. Then I tapped the hole to the size of the bolt that attaches the knuckle on the tractor. So I'm gonna machine this bushing with the bolt attached into the size of this hole, which is slightly bigger than the bolt, which well, a bit. So this is going to take up the wear. So if ever, well, hopefully the goal is that this will wear slowly. And what I want to do is actually even put a grease nipple in here so that it injects grease right in the middle here. So I'll have to machine a small groove into this, and that way I could put a grease nipple at the end of the bolt. So a hole through, drill through, and then a groove. And that way I'll be able to grease this. And hopefully it'll last years and years and be very strong. So that is the goal. And so this is where I'm at now. I'm gonna show you this particular bushing right now is too long. I will eventually cut this down because there's obviously not enough thread to attach to the knuckles, so I'm just leaving it full right now to complete my machining. And afterwards I'll sorry about that, I'll get back to you in a bit. Here I am with bushing machined, almost complete. All I got to do now is drill a hole halfway through this bolt and put a grease nipple on the end there and drill a hole horizontal, well, straight through this groove that interconnects with that hole, and that way it'll be the greasing point. As you can see, I've machined this piece down a little bit. It's not fully compressed in here yet, but that will go in like that, and then bolt into this knuckle here, which is here. So that sits in there like so. So one on the bottom, one on top. And I'll probably maybe add a small washer there so that it can't pop, but it can't really go anywhere. It can only can't really go out once it's bolted in. So that's a nice snug fit. This is a nice snug fit. You know, I'll probably sandblast this piece a little more and give it a paint. I'm going to basically repeat the process on the top piece, which is this hole, but the bushing will be smaller obviously because the hole is smaller, but same kind of principle, except the step will be the other way because the weight of the tractor rest going down sits like this on the tractor, sits like that. So it's coming along pretty good. Now you can kind of see how this whole thing is designed. You can see my bushing there sitting. I actually earlier had it upside down, like the whole thing kind of swivels like that, and And right now there's not yet a bushing on top. Gotta build that one. I was just putting this together so I could take some measurements. I'm gonna shim the lower part a little bit just to make it more tight fit. But that's how that bushing sits in there into that new piece. I just gotta essentially copy a similar design but upside down on this one. Alright, so I got both of them installed now. I don't know if you can make out how the bushings are made, but now we got a nice tight swivel. I think all the clearances are good. Basically, just gotta put a nut on here and maybe a small spacer. I made that bushing just a little bit too short, so put a small spacer, put a nut, locking nut on that, and I think I'm gonna forget about the grease nipple. This just really looks nice and solid. I'm gonna oil everything up real good, and let's see how it goes. All right, here we are finally starting to reassemble this all back. So here's what this all looks like. So the lower bushing, as you can see, is stepped on top and it's smaller underneath. So that's like it's like this, you know. So that's brass, and this bolt is threaded right through. So it then bolts into this piece, and once tightened, the only thing that moves is the brass into that bushing, kind of like that. And on top here, it's kind of the reverse of that. You see the step, this bolt's a bit smaller, but I did the same thing. The bolt is threaded through the bushing, and that holds it so that the bushing doesn't move. And then I made this stepped steel bushing here. It's actually the big end's underneath on that one, the opposite of this one. And that will sit on top of this, so it just slides in there from the top. And then this was also broken. There was used to be a ball bearing in this piece, and this is what interconnects the two like wheels together. I guess it's like a, I don't know what you call that, but anyway, like this drives the steering from the steering wheel, and then this is the interlinked between both wheels, and this also needs to be tightened underneath here. Well, that actually gets tightened all together, but anyway, that so now when I have it all together, it's nice and snug, feels really nice and tight. I don't know how long this brass is going to last. I decided to abandon the idea of putting grease nipples on. I'm just going to lubricate this, and hopefully it's going to last a long time, considering that this thing's been riding on metal to metal for about 3 years now, just on no bearing and the wheel kind of hanging slanted there. I think this will be a huge improvement. This tractor just gets used to remove snow, as I mentioned. So I'm just going to finish putting it all back together and show you what it looks like with the wheel back on. See you shortly. All right, so I got all this back together. Now that's all back together. You can't see much. Of course, I didn't bother painting anything. I got to do more repairs to this tractor. This is kind of a test fit. I might use it a couple times. Since winter's not over, I got to keep this machine serviceable. So that's what kind of like that all looks like all together. And it all feels good in that area, but there's more play. Like they have this chain drive here, and from the steering, and this sprocket basically drives these through rods that push these wheels to turn. And there's a lot of play in this bolt as well, so I'll have to be making a bushing in the future for that as well. But you know, I hope you guys enjoyed this custom repair. You know, a lot of guys sometimes get stomped on certain things, like wondering how they should be done. Um, you know, it's a bit of a butcher repair, you could say, but when you gotta keep these old machines going, you gotta like do what you got. And you know, I'm fortunate to have some machining equipment here, and that's what I decided to do. So tell me what you think. Comments are always appreciated on YouTube. The more you comment, the better it is for us creators. And of course, subscribe if you like this, and tell me what you think about this tractor. Maybe I'll do some more on this if you want more. And you know, maybe I'll show you guys if I get a snowstorm how well it functions blowing snow. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. So hope you enjoyed. Have a good rest of the weekend. See you soon.